All right, folks, a little disclaimer here before we begin. All the materials that you see today in the video and the presentation belong to Accenture, so please do not try to reproduce or reuse or forward any of these materials without having Accenture's specific and explicit approval. So if you do see something in here that you would like to reuse for yourself, please feel free to reach out to me and we will work something out. Now, today we will be discussing about testing as a service. But before we do that, I would like to take you through what Accenture is all about, our history in the market, and where we are positioned, how the Microfocus Alliance fits into the picture, and of course, deep diving into what the testing as a service platform model is all about, and how we have employed this model at our clients. So what are the benefits that our clients have gained out of using this testing as a service platform? And then obviously we will conclude with the main question, and we will answer whether this testing as a service platform is indeed an effective model going forward into the future, or if it's just a marketing spiel that companies are using out there for just pure marketing purposes. So without further ado, let's deep dive straight into it. Let's talk a bit about what Accenture is all about. So as many of you know, Accenture is the #1 technology consulting company in the world. We have a great deal of innovation behind us and in front of us as well. And as you can see in here, over our 3 decades of testing experience, we have developed more than 250 testing patents and patent pending innovations. We are looking at over 1,000 clients across all the industries, really. And we have over 50 delivery centers across 5 continents. Now, one thing that is worth mentioning in here is that today, as it stands, we have about 490 something thousand employees within Accenture globally. And out of those, about 43,000 are dedicated just to the intelligent testing practice. So suffice to say, about 10% of Accenture's consulting employees are in the testing area. So we have a very large footprint in testing. And of course, as our analysts in the market have expressed, we are always in the leader's quadrant when it comes to the testing market. So as you can see here, Forrester and IDC and Horses for Sources and Everest and even Gartner at some point in time have acknowledged and recognized Accenture as a leader within this particular niche market. So we are a leader in continuous testing services, we're a leader in automation, as well as digital quality assurance. I'm not going to drain the slide here and move over to what the real content that's worthwhile discussing about here from the analyst is, which are the disruptors. So you have seen probably from the other presenters in the Vivid Customer Days, all these disruptions that we get into the development and testing market. But I think the analysts have really put it in a very, very concise way where the disruptions are going to be happening. And #1 is AI. So every time we look around, every corner we turn, there's always going to be an AI initiative. And the AI is picking up even more and more nowadays. So machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, etc., are going to be defining the shape of testing and the methodologies that we employ going forward into the future. Now, obviously, all of that forms part either with the digital transformation or just plain and simply separate initiative. Now, the digital experiences, especially the customer experience, are becoming more and more relevant in the market. And therefore, security starts playing a very large role. So security testing and protecting your brand and making sure that your customer base and your customer experience is satisfied. All of it comes together as part of the digital experience. And of course, DevOps as the main methodology being used going forward, moving away from the traditional waterfallish methods and very V model oriented to much more agile, much more nimble. Everything is streamlined, everything is automated, including embracing open source technologies to do so. Case in point, look at Netflix. They're leader in the DevOps market. The way that they've really delivered their services as. So all in all, DevSecOps as part of digital, including analytics, including AI, are the main disruptors in the market. And so therefore that pushes the testing practice to become more agile and to become more effective at how they perform their daily roles. So therefore, you don't have a single role for the tester anymore. You have a multiple competency individual that will span across from manual testing to automation to performance to security to mobile, etc., etc., etc. And then this person will have to be able to deliver, in most cases, in a DevOps fashion or an agile model, but also in navigate between these hybrid models like water, scrum, fall, and V models and Ws and agile and DevOps. So in a nutshell, we're going to have to do more. We're going to have to expand our site into these new disruptors in the market, and we will have to ensure that the way we use the technologies at our disposal are going to be effective and are going to enable us to do our work more efficiently. Now, last point I would like to bring up to your attention now is the Microfocus Alliance. I obviously have to go through that. So as I explained to you before, I'm leading the global testing practice for the Microfocus Alliance within Accenture. We are part of our alliances and partnerships teams. We are one global alliance team that spans across Microfocus, HP, and HPI. We do have a great deal of history here, so over 25 years of working experience from the times of Mercury, going into HP, and now Microfocus. And hopefully this is where the train will stop. We have a 360-degree relationship, so we're a customer of Microfocus's. We're also a system integrator of theirs. We're one of the top 5 strategic alliances, and of course, we're a managed service provider. Now, if you look at the bottom of the screen, we have the Microfocus software pillars. There's about 5 or 6 of them that have over between 300 and 400 products. And now we've taken the most important products and the most important solutions and the most relevant technology for us, and we've developed our own Accenture Microfocus joint solutions and platforms, which are also segregated between ITOM, which in our world is Intelligent Automation Platform, and then ADM, which in our world in Accenture is the Liquid Application Services, a fancy name for testing, and then security with Intelligent Security, and our modernization, which shares the same name. So our testing as a service platform is an integral part of the fabric of how we perform and execute testing within Accenture. Now, the testing as a service platform and solution is actually a model that can go across all the other solutions like application lifecycle, like DevOps and digital testing alike. And we will get into a minute into what that means for us. So that being said, let's move on to the next part of the presentation. What is actually testing as a service? All right, so let's first look at the origin story for our testing as a service platform. So if you look at this picture here, you see the entire tool stack from Microfocus, from left to right, going exactly like we would in the software development lifecycle, from dev and test, with app modernization and app delivery management, going into operations with IT operations, information management and governance, and cybersecurity, all underpinned by a layer of big data analytics. So that is the way that Microfocus is actually pitching the entire enterprise digital transformation to their CIOs. Now, normally, when an organization wishes to get the Microfocus technologies to help them in their journeys, they would have only a few options available to them to deploy those technologies. Number one would be to either purchase the software directly from Microfocus or through one of the channel distributors or VARs, either through perpetual licenses or term licenses that they would then enable on premises or in public clouds. So in this case, the client would have to pay upfront for this software. They would be responsible for the administration of that software and how it gets deployed. And then obviously having perpetual term licenses means they will have a long-term engagement. Now, the second option they have available today still is not owning the licenses and actually just getting a subscription for the Microfocus software that is supported in SaaS by Microfocus, and that's the Microfocus SaaS subscription. The payment would still have to be made in advance, with the only difference that Microfocus would do all the backend work and all the administration and maintenance of that software. So those are the two main options that the clients have available out of the box. Now there's a third option where only GSIs, so the global system integrators, can offer to our clients. So like Accenture is a GSI and a VAR at the same time. We have a different pricing structure for the Microfocus licenses where we provide a managed service program. We provide these licenses as part of that program. Now, SAP is another case where they have OEM'd all the Microfocus licenses and they sell them also as a managed service. So normally, that managed service program cannot be combined with any of the two models and options. So what happened is we have decided as Accenture, and this was born out of our client needs. We just didn't come up with these requirements out of the blue. The clients wanted something that was commoditized. The clients wanted something that they could pay in arrears on a pay-per-use model, pay-by-the-drink model, something that wasn't really impacting their ability to mobilize a project very quickly, something that wasn't really very cost intensive for them, and something that would provide them the flexibility that they would need in the future to develop their programs with. So what we've decided to do is to actually take the app delivery management stack and the app security testing portion, which is Fortify and Web Inspect, and build a hybrid model between Microfocus SaaS and the managed service program offered by the GSIs. So enter testing as a service platform, which is a multi-tenant platform that we use with a very flexible commercial model, that is paid for in arrears, with a subscription that includes the cost of the hardware, the software, etc., 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 and also having support resources in it. And in that case, Accenture owns the licenses, and the client just uses them for the period that they need in order to mobilize and deliver on their projects. So it's a much more effective model going forward. Now, let's look at what testing as a service platform is all about and how it was built. So remember we had the Accenture Intelligent Testing Practice, those 43,000 people. We also have a separate team in there that only handles test support. So these guys are only admins for test tools. Then we have the Accenture platforms that were built in the cloud using license pools with the Accenture partner ecosystem. So in this case, Microfocus. And then we have the Accenture accelerators. Now remember, a tool is just a tool. You need to have the skills to go with it in order to maximize your ROI, and you also need to have additional complementary accelerators to make your life easier in the long run or in the short run, depending on how and what your needs are. So testing as a service is a combination of all of these, and normally when we go to to a client, we have two big elements that we combine in a pricing model for our client. We have the first element, which is just regular testing services. So we have the manual testers, the automation engineers, the performance engineers, the app security testing specialists, digital testing, etc. Right? We have those people in the first layer, which is represented by the red block. Then we have the platform as a service that we actually provide, which is our testing as a service platform, which is the Microfocus tool sets provided in a monthly subscription to our clients, including the hardware, the software support, and one of the dedicated people that we have from the test tool support team. So all in all, that subscription includes the entire testing tool stack for that particular client or for that particular project, and then you combine that with the additional needs for testers 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, whatever the case is. Now, the beauty of this whole platform is the fact that it's a multi-tenant, it's reusable, it's flexible, it's scalable, so we don't have to use it once and then just spin up another tenant and then start from scratch and then so on and so forth. This testing as a service platform can be reused across multiple clients. And at the moment, as it stands today, we have around, I would say, 15 to 16 active clients, and overall we had about 30 clients going for the last 3 years that have used this platform. And many of these clients are actually repeat customers, so they want to come back because they have seen the commercial model working in their favor and they want to use it more in their project. Now, that being said, let's have a look at how the accelerators are actually fitting within the disruptors in the market. So we mentioned before that the analysts have identified those 4 different elements such as AI, digital, security, and DevOps as the main disruptors in the market. Now, our accelerators from Accenture that we have patented or are patent pending are working in the exact same space. So we have the Accenture Omnichannel testing platform that fits under digital. I'm gonna deep dive into the next slide around it. Then we have our Accenture touchless testing platform, which has elements of AI and machine learning. Then we have a brand new analytics engine in there, also combined with AI, called the Intelligent Decision Making Platform. And then we have our Accenture DevOps platform. We have some app security accelerators that I cannot mention here. And then we have, of course, packaged application accelerators such as SAP, Oracle, Pega, and some more to come in the future like Workday and so on and so forth. And then we also have some Accenture platforms that are native just to Accenture and are available to all of our Accenture clients and Microfocus as well if they join base. Which is My Wizard and My Nav now, which is the most recent one, and so on and so forth. These are the most relevant ones. There are actually more accelerators within those, but just know that a tool is just a tool. You cannot necessarily maximize its efficiency if you don't have the right skills and if you don't have the right frameworks and the other platforms and accelerators that fit on top of it. So yes, you would get ALM, for instance, for Microfocus to be used just for test management functions within your organization. But can you apply that technology into digital? Can you apply that into AI? Can you apply that into analytics and into DevOps? And the answer is out of the box, yes, but with limitations. With our testing as a service platform and our additional value that we bring with our accelerators, most definitely yes, you can apply those new concepts into these technologies. So that's in a nutshell what our testing as a service is all about. And I would like to just take a moment to explain to you our Omnichannel. So Omnichannel testing platform has a few features, but one of those is the ability to harness all the tools in the backend for a digital app testing. right? So we're looking at a mobile lab, we're looking at mobile apps, we're looking at how to host and have a farm of devices, and then how to use those farms with the mobile apps to actually develop and test across these various functional lines. So looking at these are challenges that are actually experienced by our clients. And remember, when we have all these mobile development projects, and then all of a sudden you have the incredible task of building your testing technologies for those digital testing apps. You would have to build every single thing from scratch if you don't have anything, or if you do have something, you'd have to chop and change and to swap around and to integrate various tools to make them work. Now, this omnichannel platform from Accenture actually brings that framework to our clients without our clients having to do anything really. So whether you're looking at device profiling and you'll figure out what devices you want to test on, whether you want to look at omnichannel from a compatibility test, whether you want to test Safari or Chrome or Firefox or IE, whoever tests IE still, it doesn't matter. We can do that as well as part of this framework. And then we move over into the functional tests. So we're looking at automation tests, we're looking at performance tests, we're looking at network conditioning tests, and location specific. Then moving over into security tests, usability, and accessibility. So now imagine this: you're a small company, you need to develop a few products for your banking platform, say, and then you have to do all of this without without having any tools. So the question here is, do you want to purchase the tools and spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for a short project or a medium project, or do you want to use these tools in the back end of a harness and a framework that are going to be charged to you on a pay-per-use basis? And the obvious no-brainer answer to that is the second one. You want to use and you want to pay only for what you use flexibly. So again, all these tools from Microfocus are fitting in this block. So we have UFT for functional tests. We have load and storm, performance and storm runner for performance for point number 4. We have NV for network conditions, and also some other patented innovations that we've developed for number 5 and number 6. We have Fortify and Web Inspect for number 7, and then so on and so forth. And all of these are provided on this testing as a service platform on a pay-per-use model, very flexible, very scalable. In a nutshell, that's what testing as a service is all about, and more importantly, how it fits with this omnichannel platform as part of the digital transformation journey. All right, so now let's look at the testing as a service value in real life. These are the marketing slides, and as you can see, and we can reiterate, the testing as a service platform, it's basically a flexible, scalable, global, multi-tenant solution with a pay-per-use model, which is super significant because we have in the subscription fee, we have the cost for the hardware, the software, and the administration. And then those are just paid for on a consumption basis and not in advance as the other commercial models do. And the tools that we offer again are core test management with ALM, Agile and DevOps with Octane, automation, performance, security, and we're working on getting the mobile and service virtualization stuff in there as well. And PPM is also part of this testing as a service at the moment as well. And the fun fact is that Accenture is actually the first GSI to have employed this model 4 years ago. So therefore, it's a unique offering between Accenture and Microfocus. Today, I know that there's a couple more vendors out there, a couple more GSIs that have deployed also a similar model with Microfocus, with a platform as a service. And so therefore, our marketing value prop is really helping clients achieve a greater speed to market, lower IT operations, manage their quality on their projects, and therefore improving visibility of their projects, and more importantly, decrease the risks that they have going into the market. It aligns with their SaaS and their cloud first initiatives, and it's obviously DevOps supportive, Agile supportive, waterfall as well, and it provides this flexible platform that will hopefully in the future drive more alignment between IT and business. So those are the value props, and that's generally speaking the overall model that Accenture offers. Now let's have a look at what the real life experience is with our clients. And so you can see up on the top, you see a little graph there with bars. Um, that bar graph represents the usage from a year ago from our testing as a service platform for LM, with a sample number of clients, 4 clients in total there. And you can see that client number 1, represented by the blue bar graphs, has used the tools, which is actually ALM and BBT, from 35, 50, 25, 10, another 10, 15, 45, going up and down as they need it. So the testing as a service platform actually lends itself to being scalable and flexible, ramping up and down with the licenses as the project is required and when the project is required. So we took that particular client and we made the calculation, and had the client gone for that whole year, had they gone with buying perpetual licenses and setting up ALM on premises, it would have cost them significantly more than they had paid us with our testing as a service. So actually that pricing difference was 77%. So therefore, testing as a service literally saves up to 77% costs in terms of hosting. And just that's obviously just the hosting, not including the other intangible values that it brings to bear. Then with all the other clients overall between this last for the last 3 years, we have resolved around 1,500 level 1 support tickets, which would normally go to Microfocus. That is something also that's not really looked at properly by organizations when looking at the cost of managing a tool at a TCO, because the overhead that we saved in there, which is about 3,000 man hours overall, is quite huge, right? Considering the amount of support tickets that have been resolved, and all of this is part of the testing as a service subscription. And then because it's a multi-tenant platform and we reuse the scripts and the dashboards and all the other documentation that we have available between projects, obviously scrubbed and sanitized, and not transgressing any confidentiality lines between us and our clients, we have around 3,000 Oracle and SAP reusable assets in our testing as a service ready to go from day one, which is huge because it saves a lot of time for our clients, especially in the designing phase and in the mobilization phase of the project. And then last but not least, if you look on the left here, you see the overview of the company. So long story short, there was an SAP project that had been engaged with the client for 2 years, and then this particular project didn't have any testing tools whatsoever, and they had the choice between going and purchasing new tools from scratch, deploying them on premises, or use our testing as a service platform with a quick mobilization. So they went with the second option, which proved to be very valuable to them because they were able to immediately start the testing project, and within 3 months they had already fixed 250 defects, and then they've actually showed the client, our team from Accenture showed the client how an actual testing project would work, so much so that the client eventually stopped using our testing as a service platform and opted for having their own dedicated environment because it made more sense to them once they had gained that critical mass. So all in all, our clients are using them. We have roughly around 30 clients that have used this platform so far, and about 15 at the moment that are active on the platform. And most of the times, it's repeat customers, especially from SAP and from Oracle. And that brings us to the last portion of our topic of discussion for today, which is answering the main question about testing as a service. So let's consider where the world is heading and how the software development is fundamentally changing with the digital transformation, with mobile native applications, with cloud native applications, migrations to cloud, modernizations overall, with and taking all the technical depth and moving into modernized infrastructure and applications, looking at the digital space, how much of data the digital space has created and how much more it will create going forward, looking at the organizational efficiencies across the stack, moving from traditional um, sequential waterfallish V model types of environments to more agile, to more streamlined and more automatic enabled environments such as DevOps and Agile. We're looking at an entire overhaul of the development and testing lifecycle. So consider that, and that is actually part of one of the other presentations from Vivid, which is Evgeny Karasik's "How to Adapt and Thrive in an Omnichannel World." And then consider the other part of this equation, which is the testing market is bound to grow invariably with the amount of development of applications. You will also have testing of those applications going to grow. So, according to Technavio research, we are looking at a total spend of around $44 billion in 2019 and almost $70 billion by 2022. So it is going to grow exponentially. So in that world, the question remains, do we have enough budget, especially with IT cutting budgets left, right, and center, and asking us, you know how the CIOs get their mandates every single year. You know, we decrease your overall revenue from 3% to 2%, and you have to deliver double the amount that you have delivered last year with half of the resources. So with that in mind, does it make sense that us as testers can use this particular commercial model, and not just Accenture's, but just in general, testing as a service concept, the model itself, the platform as a service, where you have all the tools combined in a pay-per-use model with administration services provided by one of your GSIs as a managed service? So is this model, this testing as a service model, is this the right choice? Will it take us into the future and provide much more quicker mobilizations and much more effective uses of the Microfocus technologies within our programs? So is that going to be the silver bullet, or is it just just a moment in time, a hump in the road, a marketing plot here that is just designed to advertise the two companies? And in my honest opinion, I don't believe that one size fits all. I don't think that testing as a service would fit in with each and every single company, with each and every single organization out there, with each and every single situation. But it is something that can be considered among the other traditional ways of deploying technologies to help your project. So do I think it's a silver bullet or a red herring? I think it's a silver bullet in some of the cases, and in the other cases, I don't think it makes a good fit. And therefore, I think that overall, the testing as a service platform model is a great complementary way to enable your testing tools at your organization. So, with that in mind, I will leave you to ask your questions and tell us, what do you think about this particular question? Do you think testing as a service is something that's worthwhile pursuing, modernizing, growing, and innovating around, or do you think it's just a red herring and we just have to drop it and just forget about it and never look back at it? So with that in mind, we are at the end of our session, and we will now open up for questions.